Hi, so my name is Heather Cochran, and today I'm going to be speaking to you guys on presenting on the topic of fentanyl. So I am currently a student at the University of Arizona Global Campus, and I look forward to presenting this case to you. So what is fentanyl? Fentanyl is a potent synthetic opioid drug. It is made in a pharmacy, or it is an illegally man-made substance. It is a Schedule II drug, which means that substances or chemicals that are defined as substance class 2 are drugs with high potential for abuse, with use to leading to severe psychological or physical dependence. These drugs are also considered dangerous. Something to know about fentanyl is that it is 50 times stronger than heroin and 100 times stronger than morphine. Fentanyl can be bought anywhere. It can be found in the street, at music festivals, docks and ports, airports, bars and nightclubs, college campuses, and border towns. Street names include A Pace, China Girl, Chinatown, Dance Fever, Friend, Goodfellas, Great Bear, He-Man, Jackpot, King Ivory, Murder 8, Poison, Tango, and Cash. So a little bit about the history of fentanyl. Fentanyl was created in 1959 and was approved for medical use in 1968. Fentanyl is typically given in the medical setting. Intravenous fentanyl is used under the care of a doctor during anesthesia. However, we're going to talk a little bit more today about illegal fentanyl, which is made in labs and most often in China and India, and then is shipped to Mexico and smuggled into the U.S., either across the U.S.-Mexican border, or it can also be brought by ships and docks into along the coast. So drug trafficking organizations typically distribute fentanyl by the kilogram. So 1 kilogram of fentanyl has the potential to kill 500,000 people. So here's some images of fentanyl. It has a pharmaceutical medical purpose. So you could see it in a prescription form. So on the left, it is a nasal spray. It can come in pill forms or oral forms. And then on the right, there's a tiny fentanyl patch, which might be prescribed for somebody who is going through pain management or cancer treatments. The image we're looking at now is man-made illegal fentanyl. So the small bag on the left is something you would see at a nightclub or a bar. Bottom right would probably be a smaller dealer, and the image on the left is from a bust of fentanyl. So something that's really interesting about fentanyl is that in 2021, 77% of teen drug overdoses were linked to fentanyl, which is one of the highest rates that we've seen ever. Fentanyl has so many social consequences for teenagers and adolescents and parents and schools and communities. The first thing that we're seeing is that fentanyl is marijuana, which is pretty common among young adults, is being laced with fentanyl. And people are buying marijuana not knowing that there's fentanyl on it, and that is leading to overdose. The second consequence that we're seeing is that it's impacting schools and parents and communities. They're dealing with their teenagers going to jail, getting arrested, needing lawyers, having to give up their home, needing therapy, paying for funerals. Large consequences of groups of teenagers overdosing from the same batch of fentanyl in a small town. So there's a lot of social consequences around the drug. And then also the way that it impacts the innocent and people who were friends of the person that passed from the overdose. So why are these overdoses so common with fentanyl? So, well, 42% of pills tested for fentanyl contained at least 2 milligrams of fentanyl, considered a potentially lethal dose. So what does that look like? If you look at the image on the left, there's a penny, and on the bottom right, you'll see the 2 milligrams, which is considered the lethal dose. So most people are just not educated about how much fentanyl is too much fentanyl. And if they are using fentanyl in polysubstance use, such as putting it on marijuana or mixing it into drinks or with cocaine or other substances, they just don't know that it only takes a little bit, or even 1 pill can kill. we are seeing a lot of polysubstance use. Young people are putting it into drinks, and it's becoming dangerous due to the amount of fentanyl and chemical combination, as well as the unawareness around the limits of fentanyl. So a little bit about the neurobiology of fentanyl. Fentanyl works by binding to the body's opioid receptors, which are found in the brain that control pain and emotion. So it goes to two pathways in the brain that trigger the release of the pleasure chemical called dopamine. Something else that's interesting is fentanyl also inhibits neurons in the medulla, which helps control your breathing, leading to symptoms like slow and weak breathing. So it can slow down the breathing and other important organs, and that can actually be quite long lasting. So the image on the right is actually a cop who was at a routine traffic stop in Florida. There was fentanyl in the car, and it did ingest through her skin because fentanyl can seep through the skin, and she went immediately into a fentanyl overdose. So when someone first uses fentanyl, they might feel happy, drowsy, nauseous, confused, constipated, sedated, have problems with breathing, or unconscious and unaware. When someone's going through a fentanyl overdose like the cop did, there's changes in the eyes, in the pupils. Their skin gets quite cold and clammy. There's a blue discoloration to the skin, and respiratory failure leading to death, and even a coma. So a little bit more information about fentanyl deaths. An average of 22 adolescents, 14 to 18, which is very young, have died in the United States each week in 2022 from drug overdoses driven by fentanyl and counterfeit pills. In 2023, we had 111,000 people died from drug overdoses, with the majority, over 75% of those, being fentanyl related. So the image on the right is a picture of Narcan, which is a nasal spray that is being given on the scene when people are overdosing to fentanyl. It is not a guarantee to bring someone back from a coma or an overdose, and you have to have it on site to even use it with the person that is overdosing. So colleges and campuses are taking this pretty seriously. The Campus Opioid Safety Act took place on New Year's of 2023, which requires campus health centers and public colleges and universities to offer students free Narcan, a nasal spray that can reverse an opioid overdose. Some colleges and universities have since armed students with Narcan, but have not followed suit. Narcan can also be picked up at pharmacies, Walgreens, local doctor's office. It's better to be prepared and to have it on you and not need it than to need it and not have Narcan available. Okay, so resources and information. So if you're impacted by fentanyl, whether it's a classmate or on campus or a roommate, or you just want to know more information about it, you can always call SAMHSA, which is the U.S. Substance and Mental Health Service Administration. They offer 24-hour free and confidential information to get help and information you need. They're not there to make police reports. They're just there to give you the information to keep yourself and others safe. Their phone number is 1-800-662-HELP. And they have some really great printouts on their website as well. And the references are here. I looked a little bit into mindfulness and substance use, and some DEA information about fentanyl, and some fact sheets that you can find through Substance Use Addiction Prevention Branch, and some peer-reviewed journals, which are being updated on a regular basis, given how many young people are being exposed to fentanyl.